Am I the antagonist for blocking all possible romantic advances my coworker had tried towards me? I am a 19-year-old female who has been working at a shop inside a hotel for about 4 months. Initially, I kept to myself and didn't interact much with others. However, over time, I started making friends with my colleagues. One person I met through these interactions is John, a 25-year-old man who worked at the jewelry store down the hallway from my shop. Our interactions were friendly, and we had no trouble keeping a conversation going. After about 3 weeks, I noticed that he wore a ring and asked if he was married. He confirmed that he was married and added that his wife was the daughter of the store owner, making her his boss. A month later, John's store moved right in front of mine, resulting in us being in closer proximity. This increased our interactions. Despite his romantic interest in me, I tried my best to show him that I wasn't interested. A few days later, John invited me to have lunch with him. I kindly declined, stating that I always bring my own food and prefer not to change plans last minute. However, he refused to accept my rejection and insisted on knowing why I turned him down. In response, I asked him about his intentions with me. I admit that I was somewhat blunt with my question, making him uncomfortable. He only replied that he needed time to respond before leaving. Later, when it was time for me to leave, I went to my usual bus station. To my discomfort, John was waiting for me there. I briefly considered going back inside the hotel to call a cab, but since my bus was about to arrive, I decided to wait. He approached me, but I boarded the bus before he could say anything. The next morning, John entered my shop ready to talk. However, I immediately told him that I didn't want to hear whatever he had to say. I reminded him that he was married to a beautiful woman, someone I knew and who knew me. His job depended on his relationship with her. Moreover, I made it clear that I wasn't interested in him and requested that he only address me if it was something extremely important. He thanked me for being direct and left me alone. Today, John came by again, asking if we could talk. I firmly informed him that there was nothing to discuss, and he left, giving me a disapproving look. I do feel that I may have overreacted and made a bigger deal out of the situation. However, I also believe that John is being incredibly disrespectful to his wife and does not deserve a lenient response. I cannot tolerate cheaters. So am I the asshole for not allowing him to confess his feelings to me? It's clear that you have been consistently communicating your lack of interest in a romantic relationship with John. You have every right to set boundaries and prioritize professionalism in the workplace. John's persistence and refusal to accept your rejection is disrespectful to both his wife and you. By being direct and firm with your responses, you are asserting your boundaries and taking a stand against infidelity. You have the right to protect yourself and not engage in any further discussions with John. Am I the antagonist for canceling my in-laws' beach vacation? Thanks to some work-related advantages, I was able to book 2 beach houses on the same block for my in-laws to join my husband, 2 kids, and me on a vacation. They paid me back for their share already, but I made the reservation. My sister-in-law relies heavily on her parents to take care of her children. Even though she is a stay-at-home mom, Sam, she often has one or both of them at her house helping out, or she sends her kids to their house most of the time. When all of them are together, I've noticed a recurring issue where the kids end up unsupervised because everyone assumes someone else is looking after them. When we're around, we suddenly find ourselves in charge of the kids without being asked or even informed. One time I was upstairs with my kids while their kids were downstairs and they all left to grab lunch for us without informing me they were leaving. It's a big house, so I didn't hear them leave or the kids heading outside to the yard while they were gone. When they returned, they saw the kids outside and tried to blame me for not watching them, even though I had no idea they had left. Obviously, my husband set them straight and made sure they understood that if they wanted us to watch the kids, they needed to ask us so that we knew we were supposed to be in charge. I felt reassured about booking the vacation after this conversation. A few weeks later, we were all at a small public beach together. We started taking our stuff down to the beach, and one of their kids wanted to join us, so my father-in-law, FIL, said, "Okay, go ahead with them, loud enough for me to hear." He didn't ask, but at least I was being informed that I was in charge of him now, and presumably they were following closely behind. After at least 10 minutes at the beach, they still hadn't arrived, and I noticed their other child in the water by himself. I told him to get out of the water and come over to me. I asked if his parents knew he was down here, and he said yes, they had told him he could come down and swim. He wasn't instructed to check in with us, so we had no idea he was there. I felt this was extremely unsafe because I could have easily missed seeing him in the water, and we had already had a clear conversation about supervising the children. I was too angry to have a productive conversation, and they are the type of people who immediately get defensive and shut down or become combative at any hint of confrontation. So we said nothing and just finished the day at the beach. Once we got home, I told my husband that I wasn't comfortable going to the beach with them again, and I canceled the reservation for the beach house. He returned their money and told them it was because of what happened at the beach. Obviously, they were very upset and felt they deserved another chance because they had informed me about one child and the other child was supposed to check in with us, so how could I punish them all? My husband also feels that because they paid for their share, it wasn't necessarily fair for me to cancel it, and we could have just had mostly separate vacations and refused to go to the beach with them. Am I the asshole? You are not in the wrong here. It is understandable that you are concerned for the safety of the children and uncomfortable with the lack of supervision. You made it clear in the past that you need to be informed if you are expected to watch the kids, and their failure to communicate and ensure the kids' safety shows a lack of respect for your boundaries. Canceling the reservation was a reasonable decision given the circumstances. It is better to prioritize safety and avoid potentially dangerous situations rather than risking the well-being of the children. Your husband should support your concerns and understand that you are looking out for the best interests of everyone involved. It is also not your responsibility to separate your vacation from them and refuse to go to the beach together. It is their responsibility to ensure the safety and supervision of their own children. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.